heard from Judge Meeks last week about the judges all agreeing to make the same request. I can't add much other than saying that I've had a great staff, and I think they are deserving of a raise, and they'd appreciate anything that you might be able to approve.
One question, I do see your replacement for next year.
Yes.
And does he agree with this particular budget then?
We didn't really discuss it, but he can speak for himself.
I do agree, and I also would add to that there's been some rumor that I would be replacing staff, and that's not true at all. But the staff that's there works hard and they do a good job, and I think these figures would help retain those staff, and that would be my suggestion. So,
I'm sure they're going to be happy to know that you said that in a public meeting. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Helps dispel rumors.
Not that they were worried. They were not worried.
Yeah.
He's going to be a great judge.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate your years of service to our county.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
How many is it, Judge?
24.
Oh, we came in together.
4 full terms, so it's been an honor. Really have.
Does anybody have any questions for Judge Todd? All right. If not, the chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies, Category 2, Category 3, and Category 4 as presented.
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lumen.
Second.
And thank you, Mr. Caudell. First and a second, any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Health Department and Local Public Health Services.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mine should be equally simple. We have minor changes from 25 to 26. In the 1159, I would like to increase our legal services by $2,000. We are leaning on him very heavily, having to cite more homeowners into court over poor housing. And he's asked for an increase to cover that additional work. As far as pay increases, I had to have this budget submitted to the state by the 1st of May, and at that time, the talk amongst the county was, don't ask, prepare for cuts, so we did not. If this board finds that there are funds for pay increases, my staff works quite hard at their job too, and we would appreciate equal consideration. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Who is your attorney that is involved in legal services?
David.
Okay, it's David.
Question I
In
had.
every office we have.
Yeah.
We've had him.
How does he have time to do all this?
I know.
Yeah, citing more homeowners, is that landlords or is it owner occupied, or do you know a split?
Both. It's more owner occupied than landlords.
Is it?
Landlords typically will show up in court, and if we show up too, they'll settle.
Yeah.
But it's mostly homeowners
Really?
or landowners, yeah.
Okay.
So no one's suing you, you're doing.
Correct. We're just trying to get people to clean up their property.
It's a 25% increase in legal services. How does David do every office we have?
But if you look, he went a very long time with no increase.
Well, I understand, but again, how can he do every office we have?
Well, somebody else has to give him up. He's been our attorney for about 15 years, and public health law is pretty complicated, and he gets it. So
I'm not saying he wouldn't be great at it, I'm just surprised he can do every, I mean, is there any office he does?
Area plan.
Area plan does not do.
He does too.
He does area plan, I believe.
He does. I think he does area plan.
But in all honesty, we have to work so closely with area plan when we cite people into court. It's beneficial that he does both.
Added him to one the other day.
Well, they did, public defender is involved heavily.
Judge, I mean, magistrate, is that what we
We talked about, yeah.
Yeah, adding some responsibility to what he does there. I haven't gone to the extent of adding up all his line items to see what they add up to. I don't know what that is. I need to do that sometime. Do we know what that is?
I do not know. I'm not off the top of my head, but I could.
Can you tell from your records what his 1099 was or whatever?
And not from this computer.
Okay, all right, that's
but I
fine.
can.
I just, he does every office, I'm sure he has that time to do them all. I guess he does. Okay,
Obviously, she's happy with his service.
well, I'm sure we all are, just how many, how much time does he have in a day?
And again, public health law is very complicated and he
Not disagreeing with that,
understands
not
it, so
disagreeing with that at all. Just, how many times can he
Stretch
get
himself.
up here with an office? What's that?
Stretch himself thin. Stretches himself thin.
Yeah, real thing, I just don't know how whatever.
The chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2 and other services and charges category 3 as presented.
So moved, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brinkle. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Higgs. The motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, local public health fund.
So this one, the only changes from last year, or from this year to next, the professional services we've zeroed out. That was for a data plan that we no longer need. And I would like to add $1,000 to repair and maintenance. We just, our fleet of vehicles is larger and needs oil changes and windshield washer fluid and that kind of thing.
How old are your vehicles?
We have newer vehicles. Our oldest one is probably 3 years old. Actually, I'll be coming to you in September. We had one totaled out that we're looking to replace.
Because of an accident? Because of an accident?
She was hit, and we have the insurance check. I just need to transfer a little bit of money to add to the insurance check. She is, yes, yeah. Minimal, I mean, shake it up pretty good, but minimal.
So what did you do for repair in the past?
Well.
Under warranty.
Pardon?
Warranty?
Might have been.
Warranty?
When the highway department was doing our oil changes, they now charge for them. We, out of our 1159 fund, we do have some repair and maintenance that I've been paying for. Like, I just had to put new tires on our truck, and that was expensive. So, just trying to not cut myself so thin.
$1,000 is not gonna cover
It
that.
did not, it did not.
Chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2 and other services and charges category 3 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cavell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
And then just real quick, in that fund as well, I didn't ask for raises, but if the county sees fit, that would actually be state dollars, but I would like that to be equal across all health departments. Okay, thank you.
Did we have more funds in the health department than this in the past that we looked at?
Yes, my budget was cut by $1.1 million
So
from
there
last year to
other
this
grant
year.
type things or, we had other
No.
types of funds involved, I think.
So there is a preparedness grant that, actually the contract just got signed and I got the budget for that we're bringing to the September meeting.
Okay.
There were tobacco grants
Okay.
that when we accepted this, I call it HFI money, you call it Public Health Services Fund. When we accepted those funds, the tobacco grants went away. They got absorbed into these funds. And each health department had to choose they were going to continue to receive the tobacco funds or the Public Health Services funds.
So it's kind of been incorporated, integrated together. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on our agenda, we have Superior Court 3. Evening, Judge.
Good evening.
The only modification requested to grant Superior Court 3's budget is in printing, and we have requested $500 for many, many years. And I'm requesting 1,500 due to the fact that we have a referee court. A referee court makes numerous copies of documents that need to be addressed in the court with defendants. They need to take copies with them. All sorts of copies printing that's generated out of a referee court, and also due to the fact that for the first time in the history of Grants Superior Court 3, we have 12 member juries. And the reason that printing goes up with 12-member juries is we have to send out 75 jury summonses. And so there's a lot more copies that are generated due to the fact that we have a court that I supervise along with 12-member juries. Very recently we had an attempted murder jury trial, and so these trials with more juries require more jury summonses. And so that's really the only additional expense, and I believe that we requested a transfer of some funds to make sure that we were able to pay those printing fees previously this year, and Mr. Jarvis helped us with that. And so that would make sure that we wouldn't have to make those adjustments mid-year. I'm also requesting, as all members of the judiciary requesting, is if the council would consider a pay raise for the position of court reporter. The position of court reporter, and I know that I come before the council every year annually and ask for a raise. I truly believe that the position of court reporter is underpaid when you consider similar situated counties. When you talk about Howard County, Henry County, Wayne County, counties that look a lot like Grant County, we are not up to where they are in paying their court reporter. And that position is of vital importance because they handle matters of confidentiality. There's so many different responsibilities that they each handle individually, different assignments that they have, and the requirements to stay late for jury trials and things of that nature, to where if Grant County could get to the point where we're having a similar pay schedule as Howard, Henry, or Wayne County, certainly I would appreciate that. And $50,000 is going to do that for the position of court reporter.
All right, anybody have any questions or comments? Now, the chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2, other services and charges category 3, and capital outlays category 4 as presented. Thank you, Mr. Brankel. Do we have a second? All right, thank you, Mr. Higgs. Anyone have any questions or comments for the judge? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you. Right. Next on our agenda, we have Circuit Court. But we have the clerk coming. Is she coming for Circuit Court, or are we doing you?
Oh,
Because Circuit Court's not here.
No, that's not me, is it?
Well, if he's not here though, if he's not here, then we can do,
Yes, well, okay.
yeah.
I don't know where my head is. I'm
No, you're
sorry.
okay. You're all
I
right.
get my vitamins this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not coming. Judge would not entertain that at all. No. Okay, so I'm okay.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do yours, and then when he gets here,
All
we'll,
right.
yeah.
I thank you for letting me talk out of turn. And I have requested a slight increase in salaries, but I know we're not discussing that at this time. So where would you like to begin?
It doesn't look like you made any additional requests in the general fund for the clerk, but salaries, I mean, you can still, comment on why you're requesting an increase.
I just have an amazing staff. They do a lot of good work for the county, for the citizens, for the courts. Everything, as I've said over and over again, I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, that everything that goes on in the courthouse, passes through the clerk's office at least twice, sometimes more, before it goes to the courts. And then when it's done with the courts, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, it all passes through our hands. And they do a good job for the county. And I think they're well deserving of compensation. So, and they are thankful. I've heard that even just today, that they're thankful for the jobs that they have. Yeah.
All right, does anybody have any questions regarding the general fund for the clerk? If not, the chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2, other services and charges category 3, and capital outlays category 4 as presented.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cardell. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lemmy. A motion and a second. Questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next we're on voters, which is all salaries. So probably skip down to general fund election.
And here you'll see increases because we didn't have an election last year. So although not asking for really any more than what we had the previous year. So and if I'm getting ahead of myself, just slow me down because I'm doing that tonight apparently. Down in capital outlays, there's a new item there concerning voting machines. Am I out of turn here?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. All right, these, the machines that we have, I can't tell you how old they are, but I know they've got quite a bit of age on them. To the point that Microvote is our vendor. They are amazing, but they are getting a bit obsolete, even to the point that replacement parts and things are getting harder to obtain. So I believe in your packet there is a quote for new machines. What I was requesting was that we just start a fund, which Angie, thank you very much, has set that fund up for us with the, no, I'm getting out of turn, but here, see, but with the option of just adding monies to that, possibly until we are, and I ask you to do that, you want to correct me?
Well, what I did was I added an account to your election budget for these voting machines. If you want to have a fund created, that would require going to the commissioners and having them do a resolution to create this fund. And then the county council could opt to fund it
Or not.
and transfer funds to it.
So there's.
Or we could just keep it here, so.
But my thought process was, because you can see it's a large sum of money. So what some clerks have done is they've just added some money they requested from the council, commissioners, an amount of money to be added to that until we were able to purchase the new machines. One thing I have heard from our vendor is that the pocket of machines that they have available, I think they've got like 130 or something of those left. Our county has 105. When that pocket of machines that they currently have is gone, then they will be getting a new shipment, which will probably mean that this quote will increase. So that's just something. So that's all I've got to say about that. You know, it's up to the commissioners and to you.
Yeah, it's like I remember sometime back you sent an email.
Yes.
That talked about maybe some funding options. It sounded like this is the entire amount that we would need to pay for the new machines.
Right.
Okay, was there something am I thinking wrong? There was
No.
something you talked about, some options in there as far as amounts to accumulate.
For one, and that's what I was trying to say, but not very eloquently, is that if the commissioners and this body chose to add a sum. I think some said that they were adding like, $5,000 to it each year or whatever until it grew to where they could make that purchase. But then also, if that's clear.
But was the company, I guess I'll say, being flexible in the amount they wanted to collect and when?
They would give us payment options is where we could make a payment this year or maybe next year and then make another payment. We wouldn't have to pay the lump sum all at once.
Was there any advantage no interest or any advantage to doing it all up front as opposed to doing it in those
I don't
payments?
believe so, but that's something I'll
I couldn't
double check on.
remember.
So that's why I had asked, and I know I sent it late. I sent a note, Steve Chameau, my macro vote rep, said he would be happy to come and speak tonight, and I sent a note concerning that and didn't hear back, so I assumed we were going to be too busy for him to come. But he would be happy to come and explain, the ins and outs of how that could possibly work. But anyway, that's
You weren't sure exactly how old these were.
Yeah, I know
They
they're-
haven't been around for a while, you're
Yes,
saying,
they
you're not
have.
really sure how long.
Yeah.
I remember back when we bought these, we had like some state help to get that done, didn't we?
That I don't know, that was way before my time.
Does that ring a bell? We had some state grants, some kind of state funding assistance there.
Seems like that.
It seems like we did. It's been a while though.
This amount is for replacement of all 105 machines.
Correct.
But are those machines various ages? Are they all purchased at
I
exactly the
believe
same?
they're all pretty much the same. We got them all at the same time.
If we were to purchase, say, 20 machines a year, is there compatibility issues in the way those machines process? Do you need to purchase all of them at one time, or can we stagger a purchase like that to get similar types that process the same way?
I'm thinking that they would be the same because the ones we've got now, have been, they just are changing or updating them, I guess.
They may cost more if you have to.
Yeah, that would be the thing, is that they might cost more. But also they were saying that with the new ones coming in, just because they're new, they would be more expensive, but also a chip or something inside them. And there again, Steve would have been a good one to explain this, and he'd be glad to come at another meeting to help explain this. But there's an update in a chip or in the machines.
So in order for us to get 105 machines, we need to come up with that 294, is that what you're saying? Yeah. Or do they finance? I guess.
Yes, they will work with us.
So I guess it makes sense to get all the machines at once.
If the others are gonna cost us more, I would think that's right.
And plus if they change something on those new machines in 5 years or whatever.
I don't know what that chip thing she's talking about is. how
Yeah,
that-
that's-
I guess I don't know that.
Steve was trying to explain that to me over the
Seems like it
phone,
makes
so
sense to get all
yeah.
105 at once, so they're all the same. But
There's some kind of an update in the newer machines, and they don't
That means
have
that we
them
should
yet.
have or that we shouldn't,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, my first thought is, if you have the number of machines we need available to us now, we just go ahead and get them and get it done. But if it's something that we ought to be waiting on because there's an improvement coming that we should do. I don't
That
know.
is a possibility, although there will be an increase in the amount that the
roughly
machines
how
are
old are the
gonna
ones we
cost.
have now? Any idea?
I'm sorry?
Roughly how old are the voting machines we have?
That's what I'm not sure. I know they
20 years
were
old maybe, or?
probably that anyway.
Maybe 10-ish.
So 10 years is pretty much the life of them.
I don't know what's life of them
It sounds like though, the last time you had state funding that would help, I guess, rather than this full 294, I might throw a number out and say 1/3 of that, roughly $100,000. Because if there's state funding available, we should try to get state funding to help us as opposed to all Grant County paying for all of it.
Of course, that was back then. Have you heard anything about state funding being available to help
I
us?
haven't, but
So it might have been unique. We could just leave this line item out for now and have this person come in maybe to our September meeting and talk to us about it.
he'd be glad to.
And maybe then we could take action on that in our first October meeting, October 1st, I'm trying to see whatever that date is. Does that make sense? Yeah, because I'm tempted to, if we need to buy them now, maybe with our cash balance, and go ahead and get it done.
I just get worried though, when somebody's got a deal on the
But if the
machine.
state's got something they can do for us differently,
Yeah.
that'd be something to think about.
Yeah.
Are we having widespread failures right now, or what's the?
No, we haven't. As you know, any piece of equipment, something goes awry. But Microvote has always been able to come in and take care of it. What they're saying is that they're getting close to obsolete, to where it's getting harder for them to have what they need to repair and refurbish.
Do we
But-
know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do we know, so of the 130 that Microvote currently has available, those machines, are they the same as the new batch that would come in, or is the new batch that's gonna come in going to be an upgrade?
They're going to be an upgrade, I believe.
So I guess the other part is if we're buying new machines, then we probably wanna buy the newest of machines, not
Yeah.
the ones just sitting on.
Because then parts become an issue for those.
Because parts come an issue for those.
I think it'd be interesting to know how many changes they've made since,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like in my world, credit card encryption and PCI compliance, that's a game that's changing every day. So, yeah, definitely the latest and greatest, so we can at least get.
That may be the best idea that.
And it was not my intent to come and ask for this lump sum of money. I just wanted to kind of get it on your radar, and if we could start pooling a little bit of money into a fund that would be exclusively for these machines and nothing else. It can't be used anywhere else, just set aside in a trust for these machines, then it wouldn't be as big a burden on the county, you know, when the machines were needed.
Well, you'd mentioned this at least last year, that we ought to be looking at this. I would suggest, and I'm ready to make a motion, I guess, on this one, but I would move we approve category 2 and category 3 as presented, and not take action on category 4 till we have a meeting. I'm going to suggest you be on the agenda for our September, is it the 12th? Whatever that's, the third Wednesday.
Yeah.
Maybe it's later than that, it's the third Wednesday.
The 16th.
What is it?
16th.
16th, so I would suggest we have him come in on the 16th and talk about this topic with us, and we can decide, well, I would say that work session the first Wednesday in October about what we'll do with the account at that point.
Okay.
So that's my motion, is to approve categories 2 and 3 and hold category 4 up till later.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McWhort. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brinkle. We have a first and a second. Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
One comment, I would like to know how old the machines are. If we ever did create a fund, to know how long to amortize that fund, to be able to plan for that next replacement period for those.
Makes sense.
Well, I guess that's twofold then, because if we do have to get commissioner approval to approve the fund, then we would need that before we.
But we could always do that fund later if we
Well,
want
you
to.
could purchase the machines first and then get the fund later.
But we can decide, have that meeting in September with the guy and decide if we want to purchase something now, or are we going to do a lump sum, or are we going to do it over time? We can talk about that later, but if we do the fund, we could always do that at a later date. You don't have to immediately during the budget process. We can do that into 2027 for that matter. Sure.
May I ask
Gives us
your
time to think about how we want to do that if we wanted to.
recommendation? Do I want to have Steve come and speak to you, this body first, and then the commissioners?
I don't care if they goes there first, but
Okay.
we want him to come just talk to us, I think.
Sure. Okay.
Next month in September, September
I will
16th.
touch base.
Yep. All right. Thank you. And we have a first and a second. Hearing no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next we have the clerk's perpetuation fund. Looks like no changes as far as supplies or equipment. Chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2 and capital outlays category 4 as presented. So moved. All right, thank you, Mr. Lemon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cardell. Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then the clerk for the incentive fund is only personal services, so we will pass on that for now. Thank you. We'll see you in September.
That sounds good. I apologize for jumping the gun.
Oh, no, you're all right.
You're crazy here, so.
Yep.
And thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, and now we're ready for circuit court. Your Honor.
I'm sorry, sir, I jumped in front of you.
No, you're okay.
You're being generous.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm gonna pass, if I could, get you to pass some down there, Jim. Budget primarily, the same as previous years with, just a couple of differences. Obviously, I understand we won't be talking about salaries, and I put my suggestion in there for salaries. And then the other one is to move some money around and to ask for some additional funds for the Guardian Advocates program. And that, what I've provided you some information about the program. In essence, what the program does is provide guardianship services for people who don't have anybody to provide those services for them. And so, we have elderly people, we have people who have developmental disabilities and things like that, just someone who's not there to provide those services for them. Supreme Court has a program called VASIA, Volunteer Advocates for Seniors and Incapacitated Adults. And the Supreme Court partially funds that program, and so then there are providers that will do that work. And so in our area, Guardian Advocates, and this is some information that I've given you, provides those services. John and Amber are here tonight as well, and they have served as guardians and currently doing this work already in Grant County on several cases, and so just wanted to make that relationship a little more permanent so that we have somebody reliable that we can go to when we have those cases where we have incapacitated adults that we need to make sure are taken care of in our community. Guardian Advocates receives support from other counties in the area. We got Madison, Miami, Delaware as well too, so surrounding counties, and so they've been doing this work for some time, doing a nice job, very responsive, and so we'd like to just kind of make this a formal relationship at this point. I'm suggesting $5,000. $1,500 would come from my budget, and I'm proposing taking those out of the $1,000 out of appointed counsel and $500 out of pro temp. And then Judge Meeks also is willing to take money out of his budget, $1,000 from appeal pauper counsel and $1,000 from the fund for the service dog. And so that would take us to $3,500, and then we would just be asking an additional $1,500 as well. You may recall that a lot of the sort of collective court things come out of circuit court. So there was a time when we had different budgets. Every court had its own budget for different things, and eventually we sort of consolidated those, and so I've kind of had those in my budget. This would be a similar thing. They would not just be available for circuit court use, but be available for any court in Grant County to use as well.
Judge, would you repeat the accounts you're going to change to accommodate?
I will, yes.
So I'm going to make a note here so I have that.
I will. So in my budget, it would be $1,000 out of appointed counsel, which is the bottom one on that top, and then $500 out of judge pro tem.
Okay, and then you mentioned Judge Meeks.
Judge Meeks,
Also.
and his would be, and I don't have his budget here with me. I apologize.
I've got a copy of what he's got
If
here.
you got it, yeah, you can help me out.
Get to that.
So, $1,000 for Appeal Pauper Council.
Hang on, let me go ahead and find it.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this was gonna be reduced where?
Appeal Pauper Council would be 1,000.
Okay,
And then $1,000 for, the service dog. Not sure what,
okay, he's got a supplies accounts for the dog.
I think that would be it. Yeah.
Okay, 2,000.
Yeah.
And is that why he had reduced that?
He may have submitted it already reduced, did he? Okay.
He did, because
That's why he reduced it though?
Yes,
Okay.
that's why, so he was already,
Okay,
So
yeah.
maybe he didn't.
We had coordinated.
Oh, he also had the appeal accounts reduced 1,000 too, didn't he?
Exactly.
He did, yeah, I got a note that they're both reduced.
so, yeah, thank you.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to coordinate on it.
Yep, sounds like you did.
So that's everything, really, everything else is the same, and happy to answer any questions about the guardianship program or anything else in the budget or anything else about circuit court.
So I guess then your judge pro tem account would be 725.
Correct.
And 1,000 for appointed counsel.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
just confirming that.
And those changes, they accommodate all the $1,500 of that 5,000 request.
Mm-hmm.
The question I guess I had as I was kind of looking at this, is this anywhere similar to what we do with CASA? We have some advocate money we have for CASA in our budget. I can't remember which court it's in, but we have that.
Superior 2.
It's 2, Superior 2.
Yep.
So is this something similar to that? Is it really totally separate?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept is similar where there's a shared funding relationship between the state and the county.
And the reason I ask, for a lot of years now, way back, I'm going to say 10 years ago or more, we've stopped funding some not-for-profits, like the hearing and blind senior citizens, some things with some lifeline, live stream type things. We've decided not to do not-for-profit funding. I didn't want us to start getting down that road, but if it's like that.
Yeah, this is something where there are, these are actually services that are court. In essence, what it does is provide, it are services for people that are, need the services from our county. And there's not another avenue for them to receive those services. Normally, if you have a guardianship, you have a family member that steps up or something like that, but sometimes people just don't have that.
My only fear was that when I open that door, we have to start going down that road again for other not-for-profits.
And this is like CASA, it's a court-related, I guess I would, this is not just kind of a not-for-profit that's not really related to any government court function. This is something that's related to a court function. You can think of it similar to, I guess, public defenders, where it's indigent services. I think it would be more akin to that than it would be just sort of a not-profit coming in and saying, "Can we get some money?" Yeah.
That used to be my concern, so that's why I didn't want to open that door where we have to start defending that again.
No, I understand.
And then I guess one question on that too, is it on a case-by-case basis, they're paid by, performing those services, or are they just earning a check each year for that amount of money?
Yeah, I mean, we would have an understanding with them in terms of, and probably would do a memorandum of understanding is how we typically do that, and then, we'd set a time for them to be paid through that time, and then, we would expect them to do, like I said, they're already are providing some services, they're getting some funding from the state, and so, it's to try and break that out for a certain case or something like that would be, I think, too difficult.
Too much.
Yeah. So,
More burdensome.
yeah, it's more of as long as they continue to do good work, we would fund it, and if there'd be a time, I'm not saying there would be, but they wouldn't be meeting expectations, then we wouldn't. So, thank you. And then that would end up in a new program services, which is, I see as a kind of a pink column there, as well.
The chair would entertain a motion then regarding supplies category 2, other services and charges category 3, and capital outlays category 4 as presented.
So moved.
All right. Mr. Brankel, thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Brankel for the motion, and Mr. Scott for the second. Any other questions or comments? Judge Spitzer? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take care.
Appreciate it. All right, now we're going to, well, we have a break, but if the prosecutor's here, it's up to you gentlemen whether or not you would want to take a break or anybody else. Yeah? No, no, no. Everyone want to forge on? All right. We will do that then. If you are ready, Mr. Hunt.
I'm ready.
All right. Any trials this week?
Pardon?
Any trials for you this week?
Not this week.
All right, very good.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
We have several big trials coming up.
Yes.
Not this week. Actually have, I think, 2 murder trials scheduled for next month, so we will be a busy office.
Yes.
But not to waste time chit-chatting, I know your time is valuable. I appreciate the opportunity to come and present the budget. Just with respect to, I guess, the prosecutor's general fund supplies, other services and charges, and capital outlays, very little change. I would note that I am asking to cut the budget by $200 for printing and supplies. We simply don't need as much there as we are moving more paperless. Yeah, we are less paper. I don't want to say paperless, but less paper. So we don't need all 945. Also cutting 300 from the gasoline and auto fund. We haven't used the 4961 in years.
Actually, it's $270 less. I wonder if it was a transposition error instead of.
On which one? Yeah.
The gasoline and auto. Yeah, it was 4961
It might
now.
have been, but nonetheless, I do think it was a transposition error.
That's what it looked like.
But, is it?
So you want it to be 4691?
Yeah, that's fine.
So $270 less. Okay.
Yeah, 270, almost.
Okay.
And then I am asking for an increase with respect to our notary public fee. We had it budgeted 200 last year. As you know, we are over budget this year. That's because there are some additional costs associated with notaries now, so I did ask for an increase of $200 there, but otherwise everything else has stayed the same. Do you want to deal with the 40, or do you want to go to salaries next?
You can talk about salaries.
Sure.
Does it look like you had some changes in there?
I did. And as you recall, last year, I think I was one of the few departments that did not even request a salary increase for my staff, knowing the position that the county was in. This year, I am asking for raises, but I would note that as you look at that sheet, the overall amount that we are asking for this year is $996,829, whereas last year we were budgeted for $1,003,245. So I could do the politician thing and say I'm cutting the budget, which I am, but I am asking for a raise for my staff. Generally, it's in approximately $3,000 to $5,000 range, so about a little over 3% for my staff. That does, part of that I would say would be coming because we are asking to cut a position, a part-time position that had been in place and had been budgeted for last year. So in one respect, I'm not asking for an increase overall, but I am asking for raises for my staff and my attorneys there.
In fact, as I added all the funds you had involved, it looked like the total salary was $28,668 less in 27 than it was in 26.
Yes, that sounds right.
What you're looking at.
Yeah. Now, hold on, because I'm going to ask for more of that money back in 4D.
You look like you had a couple openings too.
Yeah, I do have, well, I have I have openings with respect, one still, Jamie Moore's position is going to be open, it's not open now. And then I have 2 office positions that I hope to be filled.
And the total I gave you, that was little general fund, the victim's advocate, spotlight, prosecutor 4D, deferral, and pretrial, all those together.
Yeah.
Was a negative 28,660.
So I am trying to be fiscally responsible while still advocating for my staff.
That's that drop position you talked about.
Yes, it is a drop position.
So you just don't need that position?
No, we don't. We are able to function without it, and so rather than have it just for the sake of having a position and having another employee, I would just ask to strike that and kind of disperse that money.
And that is the juvenile?
Yeah, part-time juvenile case processor. It was a position last held, I believe, by.
Yeah, it shows Kevin 2027, yeah.
Before he moved full-time. With respect to salaries, one thing I do want to point out is we have introduced a new line item from the pretrial diversion position or fund. That has been a fund we haven't had any line items on. We've had to move money from there to the deferred prosecution fund. So we've had line items from the deferred prosecution fund, but not from the pretrial diversion. And generally, every year about November, I have to come and ask for a transfer. This year, I've cut $42,500 from, my budget request is cut $42,500 from that deferral salary compensation. The reason for that is we have a third-party vendor who has taken over some of that. There is a fee associated with that, but the costs are clearly outweighed by the benefits there. However, we do have an increase or a new line item in the pretrial diversion for the victim's advocate. The reason for that is we have lost funding in our VOCA grant to the tune of about $7,500 a year. So I'm making that up through this fund rather than asking funds come from the budget, the general fund. So I am shifting some money around there.
Yeah, go over that again when we get to that fund.
Sure, that's fine.
All right, that's later, I think.
So I guess the chair would entertain a motion regarding the general fund prosecutor, supplies category 2, other services and charges category 3, and capital outlays category 4 as presented.
I'll move for approval for those categories as presented.
Thank you, Mr. McWhorter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Any questions or comments regarding those categories? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next we have the general fund victims.
Yes, so this is the fund that was actually cut with respect to the VOCA grant. As you may recall, VOCA reimburses rather than funds it at the beginning. Our budgeted amount was cut by, I want to say close to I might have misspoken, it's close to $17,000 over the next 2 years. So that's reflected in the salary portion, whereas last year we had adopted the budget of $63,885. Next year it's $50,000, and that reflects the amount that we are going to get from VOCA. That's
the pretrial diversion fund that's picking up that difference.
That's picking up that difference.
I can see that now, okay.
Otherwise, everything else is staying the same in these categories.
The chair would entertain a motion for this regarding category 2 for supplies and other services and charges, category 3 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cuddo.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lemming. Any questions or comments regarding this fund for victims? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we're on the Spotlight, which is also a grant.
Yes, this is a grant position. Well, it's grant reimbursement. The numbers are pretty much staying the same. There's a little bit of a decrease with respect to the salaries. But again, that's made up in the new line item on the pretrial diversion.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion regarding Spotlight in category 3, other services and charges as presented. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cuddo. Questions or comments regarding that? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have Prosecutor 4D Fund.
Prosecutor 4D fund, as you'll note, with the exception of the salaries, we are keeping everything the same with respect to expenses. There is an increase in the salary. I believe if you note the increase there is approximately $7,000, which would reflect the remaining balance of.
Actually, it's 18,250.
Okay, I apologize.
18,250.
Yeah, 18,250.
Increase.
So the thing we have to remember about that is it's actually only, it's 33% of that, which would be the increase because we do get reimbursed for 66% of those expenditures. And I want to say, just for the benefit of you, that our 4D department, that's responsible for collecting child support, enforcing child support orders, has consistently been graded exceptional in all areas, which reflects the hard work of, I call them my 4D gals, there are 5 gals up there. And that's why I'm asking for their pay increase as set forth, because I believe that their work is showing that they are worth that raise, and so I just wanted to point that out.
The Chair would entertain a motion regarding supplies category 2, other services and charges category 3, and capital outlays category 4 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Cuddo. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Lemming. Any questions or comments from Mr. Hunt? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the Defer Prosecution Fund, which is salaries, and it looks like this fund balance.
It's negative, which
Yes.
means I will be here in a couple, probably the next month or so, asking for transfer of funds from the other fund. But I would just point out that the salary is substantially decreased this year because of the position that I have cut because of the third-party outsourcing of that work.
How much is the contractual services?
It's $4,000 a year.
Okay, so you're cutting the $40,000 position.
Yeah, the difference in the salary for the 2 years, 26, 27, in this budget is 38,671.
Yeah.
That's the reduction in salary shown in that fund.
Significant. So is this AI taking over?
No, it's not AI. It's a company who does this for numerous counties around the state. They've streamlined the process, and so it's a benefit to us.
All right. And that's all personal services, so we can move on to that. And now we're at the pretrial diversion fund.
Yes, this is the fund where we will be taking money from here in a couple of months and moving it. What I would notice, what I just want to draw your attention to is the contractual services here, that $4,000 is the amount for the services that we are paying. You'll also notice that this is the first year where we are adding a salary to this fund, and that is to cover the cuts and the grants, rather than ask the general fund to cover that.
Yeah, that's the victim advocate coordinator.
Yes, yes. What's that?
Everything comes full circle.
Yes, yes.
I would move for approval of category 3 as presented.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McWhirter, for the motion, and thank you, Mr. Lemming, for the second. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hunt? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right. Next on our agenda is Public Defender. Oh, there he is. Mr. Drook hiding back there.
He's here. Angie told me to be here early, so
Yeah.
I do whatever she says.
She was hoping we'd move along quickly. I'm trying.
You're doing great.
We're 17 minutes out of schedule.
Yes, there we are.
Great.
I'll slow it down for you.
No need. It costs you money.
Go attorney, slow us
I
down.
wanted to, I believe I think it was Judge Meeks, talked about
Did I give you anything?
I did.
Okay.
So the public defender that would be involved with his FRC court, that was in his budget, and I think the discussion that particular night was, probably should be in my budget because it can get reimbursed. That's the 27.5, I think, so Angie put together a new sheet for you, I think that's the difference between the first one and the second one that was submitted, so I don't really have a dog in that fight. That's, when Judge Meeks, when my office decided when I took over from Mr. Elliott, we weren't gonna go to the FRC stuff, as part of a regular, that's not part of our regular contract, and we're busy enough, so when we stopped doing that, he went to their state commission, and they said, well, you do need a lawyer for that if you're gonna have that kind of a court, and so that's where he can look at that money, so that's why that's in there, that 27.5. I believe it's, something that he has to have in that system to have that problem-solving court, that family recovery court. That's why that's in my budget now, so it can be reimbursed.
He said Bruce Elliott oftentimes was a lawyer for the cases.
Bruce was, would go, well, when Judge Kenworthy was here, that's when that started. And, I don't know if you've ever tried to argue with Judge Kenworthy, but she said, we need somebody, and so send somebody. So we started doing that out of the goodness of our hearts, but then it got a lot more involved, and it's a lot of extra time, and really those aren't anybody's clients. Once they're in FRC, they're not a lawyer's client, they're just in that program, and so anything we were doing with any of those people in that program, they weren't really our clients, they were somebody else's client that has gotten off the case. So I decided that we just didn't have enough resources to do that, so I believe Judge Meeks has talked to another lawyer about doing that, but they would need to be paid, and that's what that money is for. So I agree that they should be paying somebody to do it, but it's not something that I was doing as
Was that
much.
again Mr. Glickfield? It was Mr. Glickfield again, what?
Yes.
That's who he
Well,
said.
there's like 5 locations.
Well, it was David Glickfield, that's the one.
Yeah, well, and,
Again, it's David.
and again, he's not involved in Chin's court or DCS court, so I thought that was a good choice because it's somebody that's not involved with those clients on the
But
regular.
he's still able to do all the other duties that are required.
He says he is.
Do you, as the manager of that department, say that he is?
I agree. Yeah, him and Bruce are trying to wind down their practices, and he's willing to do it. He does a really good job on the other problem solving before he's in. The other person I would have considered for that was Sasha. But, as you know, she just got married and she doesn't need the extra work right now, apparently. So she's still trying to do a lot of private practice. So somebody named Woodfield's going to do it, apparently.
I heard David again, that's what I heard. And again, David probably does great work. I'm concerned about how thin can we stretch the guy? How many dollars we pay for that time?
Well, it doesn't have to, I mean, I'm not saying, what I'm saying in this particular context is Judge Meeks is going to decide who does it.
So it's.
But it's in my budget.
So as long as the person that's working in your department there still gets his cases done, that's okay.
It's all right. I don't know how, I really don't know how a problem-solving court PD is allocated as far as a case basis, what that number is. Because it's not like on a jury trial or something.
It won't interfere with what he does in your department, you're saying?
No, it will not.
Okay.
And if it does, then we'd have to put somebody else in, which he'll complain about it. You've ever heard David complain?
Never.
The only other thing, now, I don't know if you guys remember, but recently you approved an hourly budget of $40,000 that Ms. Jarvis told us we needed to do because we were paying supplemental funds to hourly people on a regular basis, people that aren't necessarily regular public defenders, but they're sending us hourly bills. We were taking them out of the supplemental fund, and the commission says we can't do it that way. We had to allocate specific money for that. So that's also part of this budget, but you've already approved that previously. Am I right about that?
Are you talking about the supplemental public defender fund? Okay, yeah.
So that's the
Yeah,
contractual
we did that.
services going from 46 to 89, is that what you're talking about?
No, that's something, what I'm saying is you already approved an allocation of $40,000 for hourly public defenders. These are guys that aren't under any kind of a contract. Like we have Jesse Blanton from Muncie that comes and does cases for us, Jordan Candy from Wabash. There's a Savannah Ocasio who is under contract, but she also does some hourly for us. So they would submit a claim and we would pay it out of our budget, out of our supplemental budget. We were told that we can't do it that way, and that's true legally. That's not the right way to do it. So you have to if you're doing that out of the supplemental fund on a regular basis, that's violating their rules.
So I'm going to admit I'm a little lost right now. Okay. We haven't gotten the supplemental fund yet. We have a supplemental fund budget that we have a request for $40,000 in. Is that what you're talking about?
That is,
we established an appropriation for 26.
In what fund? In what fund?
In the supplemental public defender fund. We did that last month.
Okay, that's part of legal services line item though.
Yeah, that's the legal services.
Okay.
So that was because we'd already paid half of 26 and we were doing it wrong, so we had to go back to, we're just saying that's in the budget again for next year because we have to have that.
He's just jumping to the next fund.
Okay, but you start talking about hourly, it's actually a contractual arrangement with those people that we're paying out of the supplemental public defenders fund.
Right, out of the legal services account.
But it's not a set amount, it's a set amount you're budgeting, but the reason I brought that up is because we are, like Kate Dyson, I don't know if you guys know who that is, but she's from Wabash, she's a very excellent lawyer. Just had another set of twins and quit coming up here on her, if you look at the bottom of that green sheet, she's listed as a super PD. Okay, it says Kate Dyson or somebody else.
Well, I got a Kate Lynn.
Kate Lynn. Her husband's name is Dyson, but her lawyer name is Lynn, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kate Lynn, who I would love to have still working here, she was only doing murders and appeals for us. And that's the...
and that was being paid from contractual services in our public defender budget, the general fund.
Correct.
Yeah, that's not a... That's a 20, if you look at there, that's a $23,205 for, and what that is when we first started that back in the day, we used to pay, you used to pay people hourly to do murders and appeals. And so when we started the public defender board here, they decided they would like to
have a set number, like, we like to budget what that's gonna be, no matter how many, like, if we get 9 murders or we get 1 murder, if we get 12 appeals or 2 appeals, we wanna know what that number is. Because if you're paying 2 lawyers to do a murder case by the hour, it can get pretty out of hand pretty quick. So that's where, when Judge Thompson was running this, we came up with $90,000 divided by 4 guys. And those were called super PDs. This is 15, 17 years ago. So that $90,000 has never changed. You had 4 guys doing all the murders and all the appeals. And Kate was one of those. She quit 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, basically because it wasn't worth her time to drive up here for $23,000. She did 3 murder cases and 4 appeals in that 18 months, and she just said it's not worth it because she's got a lot of practice. She does a lot of stuff in Huntington and all that. So anyway, I've added into the budget an increase in that super PD fund now, and that's why, because if we don't do that, we're going to have to pay. We're losing lawyers that are willing to do murders and appeals for that money. You have to pay. If a guy wants an appeal on a criminal conviction, you have to have a lawyer.
Yeah, well, it looks like our budget in '26 was 2 of those positions instead of 3.
Well, and here's why, because when you made Bruce a chief public defender and you made me a chief deputy public defender, that money, those 2 of those spots went into that salary. So you've got a chief public defender and a chief deputy that are also doing murders and appeals, but you're not paying them separately. That's just part of that job. So we had Kate and Jared doing it, and now we're down to Jared. And I and Dave Payne are also doing that. So, but we're not being paid as super PDs. We're just.
It's out of your salary.
Yeah, and that's why that number is what it is. So what I'm saying is, if I want to fill, here's the other thing that's going to happen. When Bruce retires in January or December, Jared's going to take that spot. That's the other full-time spot. Okay, so that's the 105.50. Yeah, and so that doesn't, meaning he's still doing what he's doing, but he's not taking a super PD check anymore. He's getting it as part of the full-time thing. So do I just want 1 super PD person still left? I'm supposed to have 4, because really we have to have 2 on every murder. You understand what I'm saying about that? 2 lawyers on every murder case? That's a standard.
I wouldn't have known that was a standard, but I'll take it for that.
And I'm not, so right now, I've got a murder case on September 18th and a murder case on September 28th that I'm doing, just me, because they're fairly simple, if you can imagine. But we're just doing, and Jared's doing a co-defendant of one of my murder cases. He's doing that by himself, because we don't have enough lawyers for everybody to have 2 lawyers. We're supposed to do it that way. That's the I want to call it the state standard. We want people to do that. Well, we've always done it that way here, but I'm not saying we have to keep doing that. But if we don't pay a little bit more for that, for somebody to do murders and appeals, we're going to have to pay it hourly. And so I don't necessarily know how you feel about that, because you can't control the hourly. Like, I just read up the hourly rate for public defenders, non-capital cases is $120 next year. It's $110 right now.
Well, let me ask you this, Jerry, on the 89,214 you're requesting at contractual services, 89,214, how many positions are you expecting?
That would have been 2.
That would have just been 2?
Yeah, because I believe what I wanted to ask for was, if we're doing super PDs, instead of paying them $23,200, I want to pay them $44,600. And I talked about that because that was before Kate decided to quit. So
you're asking to double really there.
Well, and that number is something that is not set in any. I don't have any reference for that other than I'm trying to make it something where somebody would want to do that. The other problem you've got right now is there's not a lot of new lawyers that want to do appeals. They don't like to do them, and so I'm doing a lot of the appeals, but I'm not going to be here forever. So if you don't, what I'm saying is, if you don't want to have, you don't even have to have super BDs anymore. That's something that we started to establish a budget for those kind of cases. But what happens is you then pay those hourly as they come. And so if you only have 2 murder cases in a year, you're money ahead. But nobody really can predict that.
So if you go back to 95, you had 96,800 was your adopted budget. Then in 2026, we made the full-time people. We took some of that budget away to then make the salary set. And that's the reason these numbers right now look really inflated, $40,000 to your point. But in 25, we didn't have full-time people. In 26, we have full-time people. So you're trying to...
Yeah, they're doing that job.
You're trying to go backwards and piece this together to say, here's what we're missing as to his point, and I know Mr. McWork's trying to do that same scenario, saying, well, why did we do this? When 26, we made these people full-time, and we ended up with basically 3 full-time people. We never had that before in our lives, and so now everything looks jumbled up and a little confusing.
But that was supposed to take time away from the part-time.
Yes.
Offenders.
And that's, yes.
Full-time.
And that's what he's saying. Now he's lost a person, and so we've got somehow make it right.
When you say lost person, you mean Kate?
Yes,
Yeah.
Kate.
And that, to me, I mean, big fan of Kate, but that was basically the money situation. She's got 5 kids as well. She just had another set of twins, but she really works hard on those cases. An appeal case, she doesn't have to drive up here, but on those murder cases, there's pre-trials, and she's driving up here. She lives in Rowan. Jesse Blanton's another guy that does a lot of hourly stuff for us out of Muncie, but he's got a full-time job, a public defender job in Muncie. Craig Persinger is local, but he took a public defender job in Muncie because they paid a little bit more than we do. So
What are they paying Muncie for a public defender?
it was, well, at that time, I think it was
I thought I
a
heard,
$5,000 difference.
that's what I'd heard, it was about 60 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and the other, that was, I came and asked you guys right before he took that job to approve me hiring somebody to fill that job here, and he took the job in Muncie the day before, because he was afraid he wasn't gonna get it. And that's no slight on him, I understand him. So, I think our public defender's salaries are pretty competitive. And some of those guys are, like for instance, if you were
At the
doing.
55 or at the request?
It's a big difference.
Yeah, 36,000. 36,528 is the request, higher.
On the 91.5?
Yeah. For 26 compared to 27.
It's 66.4% increase.
Yeah. Is that right, or was that not supposed to be?
Well, let me put it this way. I wasn't prepared to ask you to pay our regular public defenders that are making 55 more.
Okay.
I'm not sure where those numbers, what that 91.5, what is, that's better than a lot of counties are paying.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that, but I don't know.
Okay.
Now, so if you go up to the top of that where you've got me and Dave and Bruce right now, those numbers are bigger, but I think those are pegged to the state, what they pay the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying there?
Yes, because I thought you had said before they had to be equivalent.
Those are 5% higher than what we are currently.
Okay.
This top 2 are. The third one is 21.5% higher.
Than where we are right now?
Yep.
Well,
If you compare what Bruce's 27 request versus 26, it's a 21.5% increase.
And all I know is, and I wasn't here to hear what Scott's numbers were for his, but I don't know that he even controls that. That's, the way the commission talks about that is the state decides, the Supreme Court decides what they're paying prosecutors and judges. And we're supposed to track that, is why those numbers are there, so.
Right.
I don't think we've seen that schedule for the coming year, have we? I don't recall it.
I haven't seen anything.
So I don't know that would even be in his budget request, because you don't pay him, right?
No, right.
So that's what's a little unusual about us, is that our numbers, we're basically asking you to say, whatever you're paying him, you're supposed to pay me.
Right.
And whatever you're paying Evan, you're supposed to pay
You
Dave.
do have that in your budget book.
Is it in there? Where's it at? I didn't have to see
It should be up in the front, up underneath
Is it?
tab 1 maybe.
I guess I
But there was
haven't
no
seen that.
I guess I missed it.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to look on my way in today, to see whether the state had announced what prosecutors were gonna make next year, but I could only find 2026 numbers.
Yeah, and the state didn't give the probation officer any raise.
Right.
There was no increase there. And I noticed 25 and 26, there's no change.
Well, I guess if the public defenders, they're currently making 55, you didn't request this other, then I guess I'll go up to the, next line for public defender. It says trial/PS. Are you requesting 20,
I did see that.
21.5 there, or no? Like increase from 82.5 to 105? Because we had that as well. I guess it's actually 22.5. Yeah.
In the letter that Andrew referred to back in the early part of the book,
Right.
dated June 23rd, it does talk about here, it says, having reviewed the relevant data provided by the state personnel department, I've determined the average salary increases for executive branch state employees in the same or similar salary brackets, judges and justices, with 0%. So I'm thinking they must be at 0 again for the upcoming year. Does that sound like that's what that means?
For judges, does it say prosecutors though?
Well, wouldn't they be in the same?
That's the same number.
Be the same number?
Okay, well then, yeah, so then I guess these shouldn't have a 5% increase then.
I would think no.
Well, so, I mean, I'm acknowledging and I'm more than happy to accept the fact that whatever the state is paying those three type of, like, Mr. Elliott's, the third full-time job is, I think Scott has two guys making that 105.50,
Okay.
which would be Mr. Winslow and maybe Happy. So that's where that number comes from. Those top three numbers are, I'm saying, whatever the state's paying those positions.
Okay.
And I think Scott decided, I don't think the third full-time one is, that's not, it's chief PD, I'm sorry, chief, the head prosecutor and the chief deputy prosecutor are paid by the state. And that number should track with me and my chief deputy. The third full-time guy is supposed to be equivalent to the next highest full-time guy in the prosecutor's office, which is where that 105 comes from.
Yeah, I see that. Though.
So
Yeah.
what I'm telling you right now is the numbers for David and Sasha and the numbers for those $55,000, I was not prepared to ask you to raise those.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize, I don't know exactly, I'll have to track that down, but I was prepared to ask you and if you go down to where our secretarial stuff is, there's those are numbers that Lisa Morris is our only secretary, and she's dealing with three full-time guys now. She's been okay when I took over, because I do almost everything of my own work. She was doing a lot more for Bruce, but she'll do a lot more for Mr. Payne. And I don't know about Jared. Jared pays his secretary, so when he goes full-time, if he does in January, then that's why there's a $40,500 request that says new 2026 secretary. We don't have that position, but we'd like to. And that is simply saying, again, support personnel in the prosecutor's office, how many secretaries do they have? That's why we have an investigator that's making, Mr. Lawson down at the bottom, that number is supposed to be close to what their investigator's making. So that's why. And I understand when we say, okay, we gave you three full-time positions in the public defender budget, and now you're back saying, well, because we have three, we need another secretary, and that's more money. So I understand that, but that's why we're asking for it, because that's part of that whole plan is if you're going to be in compliance with the rules, and they do ask us, so if we've got three full-times, then you need at least a time and a half secretary. What they will do about that, it's the same old argument you guys have heard before, you know, if we don't do this, are we not gonna get our reimbursement, and I don't know. But I do know, I mean, Lisa Morris will probably be here another 4 or 5 years. And so, I guess you guys at some point have to get used to the fact that we're gonna have to professionalize that office. And we've heard talk about, you know, do we wanna have a lot more full-time public defenders? And where are they gonna be? And you know, we're running out of room over there, so it's just a budget that kind of supposed to track the prosecutor, and the idea is make it a fair fight. So I'm just trying to say, we'd like another budget for the secretary. I'm not asking for more on anything other than that you would line up the full-time guys with the prosecutors pay.
So the secretary, though, you're saying that it could be a part-time position and not necessarily a full-time?
That's why it says 40,500. Lisa's making 45, and as we've asked to increase that a little bit, and that's legitimate. I think, and that's just simply her saying, here's what they make downstairs. So
where it says new 2026 for secretary, really it's going to be new 2027 if we do something there. Is that
we
right?
have one.
That's all right.
That's all right. We have one secretary. We'd like to have 1.5. I don't think we're going to get a full-time gal for 40, but who knows? I don't know what those hours will be. That's not even a position I have. I don't have a job description for that and what she would be doing.
Okay.
The other problem would be we don't have any place to put her right now, unless we move John, our investigator, out of our office, which could happen. So now, also, I wanted to point out Savannah Alcasio is listed here as a public defender down at the bottom of that, underneath Justin McKenzie. You see that?
Under,
Where it says Jerry.
yeah, I see her listed there.
So, great gal, Blackford County, Montpelier gal, does a great job, and she's going to be the new chief deputy prosecutor in Blackford County.
She'll be leaving.
Yes, she can't do both. So I'm losing another a good female attorney that is very useful. So what I'm saying is I'm going to have to hire some people. It would be nice to, if I got a decent number on my super PD, the one job that I still have, if I'm asking you to give me one more super PD, we used to have 4, now we have 3 in full-time. So if I could get an increase on that, it might help me hire somebody to do both of those jobs. I could give the 55 and whatever you're paying for murders and appeals. So that's why I asked for a raise there. That number of 89 is with 2 people. So what I'm saying is a super PD should make somewhere between 40 and 45,000 in my book. And only because we've been paying that 23 for, I'm just gonna say, almost 20 years. Never raised it, and that's doing a lot of murders and appeals, so.
If we bounce back to the secretary, I think part-time versus full-time is a significant difference in my mind, because one pays health insurance and one doesn't.
But again, I don't have the position to even say, like, we're not replacing someone, I don't have that position, so I just want it. So that 40, you're saying that 40,500 would also, if it's full-time, then you gotta add that insurance money in
Right.
on your budget.
Oh, I'm just saying that it's gotta be somewhere. I'm just, if it's a part-time position, then it could be a true number of, 25, 30,000 or something like that. Depends, I guess, what the hourly rate is. And then if they're working less than 30 hours, I think if they're working more than 30 hours, then they are a full-time employee.
Well, and I guess it would depend on what we tell her when we hire her, or him when we hire him.
Right.
I think there's more people available to do something like that part-time.
Keep in mind, part-time, a lot of times we're talking like half-time right now, $40,500 compared to, let's say if it's even 50, that's like an 80% employee, not a half-time employee. So we'd have to decide, how many dollars we're gonna put toward that. And then you have to determine how many hours you can get out of that kind of thing.
Right.
It would be nice to get something in that budget that, whatever that number is, even if it's part-time, if
If part-time is half-time,
yeah.
good for part-time, or are you talking 3/4 time, or?
Well, so then, we get somebody in that position at the first of the year, and maybe that's all we need, and we can tell the commission we've got, they said at least 1.5, so at least a half-time person. That's why I said at half-time.
Just looking at comparisons, prosecutor office for 2026 paid $1,030,245. Public defender salary for 2026 is $1,030,862. So PD's actually made a few $100 more than the prosecutor's office did.
And we may, I don't know, do we have?
That may not be including the state's portion, I don't.
You mean like what they're paying Scott and all that?
That was our general fund. Our general fund total for the prosecutor staff was $1,300,000.
Right. So it's
$1,300,000.
right at the same.
But doesn't include what you're paying Evan and Scott, is what you're saying?
That's correct.
Correct.
Right.
Does not.
Which is what you're paying me and Bruce, or me and Dave.
Right.
Right.
So that would indicate that theirs is more than yours.
People like to live. Listen. So, my goal is to try to stay out of the hot water with the commission, which you guys have done a nice job of letting me do. That's why I'm asking for the secretary. And the other thing is, when I start talking about doing murders and appeals, if we don't have enough lawyers to do that, you have to pay somebody to do it. You can't. Those are nightmare cases to try to sponge together with the guys that are already on contract, because a murder case or an appeal case carries more of a caseload weight. So if Dave and I are doing all of those, then we run out of, like we always do, we run out of cases. And so at the end of the quarter, we can't do anything. And then that's why we have hourly guys to cover those things. When you start paying those guys $120 an hour on murder cases and things, I think the fact that you've got 3 full-time jobs has helped that, because we don't need all those super public defenders. The only problem with that would be is if we had a murder case where there were 4 co-defendants and technically you would need 8 lawyers for that.
How do you figure David's caseload? Is it for each
So
court that he's in, or is it just one caseload?
Oh, David Payne.
No, David Clark.
he's asking about David's issue,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Because you were talking about David Payne earlier, I think, as top 3. That is.
Yes, and his caseload is a function of his pay. He and I are at the highest number of cases we can take. David Brookfield is, and this is what I was saying earlier, when you talk about doing a problem-solving case, like, the guy's, he's done a plea and he's already in drug court, okay? He has nothing to do with that unless the guy gets violated and they're trying to kick him out. And then they need a lawyer, because now they're gonna go to prison. That's part of their agreement. So that would not be, that's like a probation violation kind of thing, where that's a very small number on a caseload basis. So those problem-solving courts, you can get a lot of cases, and really there's no chance for trial, there's no chance of a appeal. It's just, you're gonna, like a termination of parental rights, they got a right to have a lawyer because they might lose their kids, but that's not like doing a criminal case. So those numbers are very, and I don't know the answer, because he's and Sasha both are in a couple different places.
Right. That's what I'm worried, is they would get their caseloads sooner if it's not. And I don't know how you keep track of all of that.
Lisa does all that.
Okay.
And I know, like, she puts out, like, every court will send her a quarterly report. Here's the number of cases that we assign to this guy and this guy. And most of our lawyers are in certain courts. So we keep track of all that. And then we have to submit that to the Public Defender Council. And they'll say, well, you're in the red or in the green, or, you're over too much and you gotta cut that. So we've decided then you say, well, we're not giving cases to those 4 guys for the next 6 weeks. And that's a problem.
So this is, Jim, if David's FRC caseload numbers aren't added to what his normal PD cases are, he's gonna hit his limits sooner, which means that we're gonna have to pay more money.
Yeah,
We're fine if it's coming.
put too thin, I guess, if that happens. That's okay. Wish he was here tonight to talk about that a little bit with us.
Well, and I don't know where he is caseload-wise on a regular basis, because I don't hear that he's over his limits. He's not doing, he does a lot in Superior Court 3 for us, but those are smaller level 6s or misdemeanors, and so you can do a lot more of those than you can do anything above that.
Well, I admit, I don't understand this too much. I haven't dealt with it. I've heard all the talk about how many hours we had, all those kind of things. I've never lived it. I don't know the detail to feel good about one way or the other, I guess. I'm going to rely on you guys, your expertise there more than mine on this one.
Those caseload limits come from the state.
Right.
And
but how it gets calculated, who has how much, it's beyond the time I'm going to deal with it. But
if you look at the statute that says what you're supposed to pay my position, or if I'm part-time, like some prosecutors are part-time, like the prosecutor in Blackfoot County is gonna be part-time, he's gonna keep his civil practice, which is pretty unusual. Wabash does that. Has done that for years, they don't do it now, but when Mr. Plummer was a prosecutor up there, he had a private practice, he did divorce cases and estates and things like that, but he prosecuted, and he got less money from the state for that. And that's called a .66 person, 2/3. We got 2/3 of the salary, so that's where those numbers come from. And so depending on what your caseload is, that's why when we say make us full-time, we can have more cases, that's true. But they decide what that number is.
Have we acted on the general fund yet?
We are still on general fund public.
We're deep in the stuff.
And we can,
It's time to get out of there.
yep, we can entertain a motion regarding category 2, category 3, and category 4 as presented.
So moved.
Wait, you got a motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brankel.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Caudell. Now, do we have any further questions or comments from Mr. Druck?
I have a question about
Yes.
the contractual services line in category 3,
Yes.
going to 89,214. I don't want to deprive the department of what it needs to function in the areas that it's asking for here.
Right.
But from all this conversation, I still don't know for sure if that's what's needed or not.
And it sounded like it could be reduced. If you go to one super PD, you can still pay out up to $45,000 with one super PD.
And I think to me, the PD, the public defender office is so different than anything else because you don't have a choice. I mean, if someone gets a public defender, you gotta take a case, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I think we could debate all day and all night what they need to do. I have no idea.
And see, that's what I want to make sure before we put the 89,000 in, I want to have a better feel for it. Is that what's really needed, or can we just do the 46,410 and move forward?
I think Mr. Druck, though, is commenting that we lost one because these rates have been paid for the last maybe 15 to 20 years at the
Right, and so maybe they're going to bump it up some, but do we need to double it, I guess, for those two people? I don't know, he mentioned 40 to 45,000 is what I'd like to see for each.
Well, I understood it as we would have the ability to hire one super PD at the 44 or 45,000 as opposed to one only getting 22,300.
That's right.
Right.
And what I'm saying when it said 89, that's the 44.6 times 2, right? But and my expectation is Jared's gonna take that third full-time job and that'll just be included in his responsibilities and we won't have that. But, so what you're saying then is if we get, like if I'm gone and Dave Payne's gone and Jared's still here, you gotta get a chief public defender and a chief deputy public defender who's gonna do murders and appeals, and of course, they would, because they're gonna take that paycheck. So, we've always had 4 super PDs. But I think now we just need one, because we need another lawyer that can, if you get co-defendants on murder cases, you need a couple different lawyers doing that.
If we just need one, then 45,000 may be enough.
I would be great.
You think it'd be right?
I'd be happy with that.
So we could reduce that to a $45,000 line item.
Yeah, right, and so, right, well, you know, I think the super PD contract value for years was $90,000, but it was 4 people getting.
Right, it was 96,820, 96,820.
So when it says 46.4 on the 26 part, that's because we only were down to 2, so now we only need 1.
But we bump it up to make it a higher amount, so it's more attractive to have somebody.
I hope so.
That's what we're thinking.
So where are we at on contractual services?
So instead of 89,214, we could make it 45,000.
I'd be great. I'm all happy with that. And so it's 46 now, you just make it 45. Well, actually,
So I think that makes that account then 129,820. Instead of 174,034.
What was it
That's
now?
assuming he wants to
129,820.
withdraw a second, he wants to.
Right.
His
I
motion.
will withdraw.
Yep, we're gonna have Jim confirm that amount, and if that's the case, then that'll cut $44,000 out of that, 44,214.
Wait a minute. My calculator didn't work for me. I did something wrong here.
I thought you did all that in your head.
Yeah, I did not. When I was younger. I had 157,320. 157, I took the 201, 534, subtracted 89, 214, and added 45.
I'm on the wrong page.
That's correct.
That's right. Okay.
So that should be 157, 320.
Yeah, you need your other.
That one there.
Wow.
Okay.
What's going on? One moving part.
So he rescinded his second. Do I need to?
Yes.
And I didn't put an amount.
Amend yours to, yeah, you amend your motion to include the 45,000, reducing from 89, 214 to 45,000.
Okay.
So that the new, so basically, if we're amending it, then so rather than as presented, supplies is still as presented for category 2. Category 3, contractual services is reduced from 89,214 to 45,000, which makes the new total 157,320.
Right.
And category 4 is still the same at 2,500.
Right.
So is that your motion then, Mr. Brinkle? All right, thank you, Mr. Brinkle.
I will second that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Caudill. All right. Do we have any other questions or comments from Mr. Drew?
I don't.
Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
So we have to do a supplemental fund.
Yes, just one more for you with the supplemental public defender fund. And that one is an increase from the adopted budget for 26 was 0, but for 27 it's 40,000.
Well, in reality, we went back and added this 40,000 to the 26 budget a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a,
You appropriated $40,000 for 26.
Right,
This is
yep.
a request for
As an
27.
additional appropriation.
Yes.
Which we had already spent basically half of that
right.
the wrong way is why we did it that way.
All
And
right.
so I didn't ask for any more than that for next year, I just said it's the same money. And those are hourly bills that we get for guys on conflict cases and things, and so. Again, we can't control what the hourly rate is, the state tells us what to do. But so far, we've been pretty good, the guys I do have doing that have been pretty reasonable.
So the chair would entertain a motion regarding other services and charges for account 3, category 3 for that 40,000 as presented.
So,
All right, thank you, Mr. Lemming. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Any other questions or comments?
this will be the whole fund here. That's the only account in this one.
Yep, that is. Hearing no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, that fund's approved. Thank you, Mr. Drew. Yes, we're done.
We hope.
Sorry, I talked so much.
All right. Next, we have corrections.
I didn't know if you guys needed a break after that or not.
Yeah, we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, you're gonna keep us a real short night here.
I will do my best.
Simple.
So I've been doing this so long that I started in 1983, and I was sitting here looking at members of the council that are here, and I've been doing this so long that Mike Scott did his internship for me at the detention center. That's how long I've been doing this, so.
The garden.
Yeah, the garden, that's right. Yeah, that's right. A long, long time ago. But, this is probably, the most difficult budget year that we've ever had to deal with. I'm sure you guys have been dealing with, the consequences of Senate World Act 1. We've been dealing with it with the school corporation for the same thing. For some reason, there have been cuts galore in grants, and we are under the same constraints. So I will do my best to go through this as quickly as possible, but we will have an ask at the end of this that I hope you'll be able to support us in. I think maybe Angie has briefed you on some of that, of what we're going to need for benefit support, but I'll start with whatever sheet you want to start with, Mr. President.
We're on Community Corrections Fund 9101.
That's correct. So this is all community corrections grant dollars. You'll see salaries and overtime. We will need support in the area of insurance and benefits. I don't know if you want to do that in total or you want to do that separate. So we have three components that we have. We have home detention, electronic monitoring, and day reporting is in that budget. And then we have reentry court, which is separate, that we would need financial support on, that covers benefits.
So I guess I'm looking at this budget and I'm not seeing, those items in there. All I see is salaries. In there, I don't see anything for group insurance. In 27, it's zero. And
It
what
was
I've got,
requested that the commissioners pick that up for next year, and it is part of their budget, which I've already calculated in
okay.
on their budget.
So it's part of that personal services section that we haven't acted on.
Right.
On the Commissioner's budget.
Right.
And how much was that request?
So for everything in total, it's $435,000, does that sound right?
It was quite substantial. I mean,
Yeah.
you got your insurance, FICA, perf.
Right.
You have a breakdown for us as to how much is part of what? I mean, how much is?
So I do have that breakdown. Hang on, let me pull that out.
Because if I go back to 25 and look at what was there, I made.
And that's what the grants paid for in the past.
Yes, that's what the grants picked up in the past. We've had a 47% cut in the last 2 years.
I can tell you what I've calculated.
And I remember you talking, when you said this was coming, there were some things happening as far as.
So Angie, I had 376, 773 for the community corrections side, and for reentry court, 63, 603. Does that sound right?
Chris, make sure I'm thinking, this has nothing to do with what we've already talked about through probation and all that in the general fund. This is totally separate from all that.
Yes, sir.
Environment, that all.
Yeah, yes, sir. It is. It's totally separate.
Now, I'm just gonna ask, you said you've had all those cuts from the state level. Is it federal money coming to the state to us, or is it just state money?
No, it's state money that's allocated specifically in a community corrections allocation.
So the
And
state-
we are not so the cuts are statewide.
Okay, throughout the state, the counties are getting less money from the state of Indiana to cover these programs.
Correct.
By a substantial amount, and we're
Yes.
talking big dollars.
Yes.
And we don't know how long it's gonna be cut.
Well, there was a presentation today that was in the interim study in criminal code, and they are talking about this year, but nothing's guaranteed about additional dollars. It won't be a full return of funding, but it could be a partial return.
And when? We're talking.
Yeah, well, we're talking to the state legislature, Jim, so do they ever give you a?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
They said
but
there's
what
a
they
strong-
saying right now, because we're talking funding
Yet this year,
2027.
for 2027.
They're saying they may reinstate some now
Yes.
for the next calendar year.
So we're already prepping we've already got our money for 2026.
Right.
So they would give us a new partial award that they would give us at that time. And I talked to Angie, if we were to get that, then we would backfill whatever we could of what we got from that money. So in 2028, which would be coming up this budget cycle when the state legislature meets, we've had several indications that there would be a restoration of the funding that was stripped from before. So they
indication, we just don't know when and how much and.
No, we don't. I can only give you, what they've told me, that there was a strong possibility at this year for 27, and the individual, Justice Goff, who chairs State JRAC, said that he's confident that money for 2028 will be fully restored.
2020, the 27 is still kind of in that limbo.
Yeah, we won't get our funding that we'll know about for 28 because they're on a fiscal year. So we won't know about the funding for 28 until the state legislature closes in April.
Okay, that's for 28. But
28.
For 27, they've already told you it's cut, but they may reinstate.
That's exactly.
Okay,
That's exactly right.
Here's just a thought or a comment on this. Obviously, it's a lot of money for the state to ask counties to pick up that difference in what they've done to us.
Yeah.
is almost unreasonable. How can they expect us to pay another $450,000 out of our budgets that they're taking care of?
They're doing the same thing in schools.
So, well, I know, but I'm just saying, how can we do that? But why should we?
And they're sitting on a $6 billion.
Yeah, and we can get into all that, I guess. But the bottom line is, why should we be trying to, if we can, if it's reasonable, how do they expect us to make up that difference at this point?
I can't
And if we
answer
don't
that.
do it, what happens? Talk to us about what happens if we don't.
What if it happens, I have 59 people that I would be close to closing. I'd have to cut people, which means I'd have to transfer people on executed sentences back to the jail. I don't want to do that.
The people you have to know, we don't see a list of that many people in the paperwork that we have in our budget stuff. We have just a few positions shown here. So,
He was talking, I think he meant 59 people that are on probation.
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about the people.
Okay, say it again.
So 59 people are right now hooked up electronically. They're in an electronic jail.
Gotcha.
On an
Okay.
executed sentence.
Right.
Those people would, if I have to cut people, if I don't get financial support, then I gotta cut people, which means I have to put people back in jail. I don't wanna do that, because I can't supervise people if I don't have the staff to be able to do it. And so that's what I'd be stuck with. I'd have to make some hard decisions. It would be the last thing that I would ever want to do, but I don't really have, I don't have any other choices. My hope was to be able to get funding for this year and hopefully then be back on track for the following year. Also hoping that we got additional dollars this year so I can maybe cut that number in half about what I would need. But I won't know, and I don't want to tell you
We'll have a
yet.
budget established before you know that, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
We can always reduce the budget.
I could know by when you have to certify the budget by.
Well, we're gonna adopt the budget in October.
So, I mean, I could know by October, because if they do that and the state approves it, I have to get a new contract back or a new budget back that I'll have to get approved by the commissioners. And then for the state will then issue a new contract for those dollars. So I would know, hopefully, I mean, the state make a quick turnaround on a contract to come back. Normally, I mean, those are already, we've already issued those to the state to be able to be done. So, I mean, we could know by October. I just don't.
What's our third Wednesday in October? What's that date? That's our adoption date.
Yeah.
The first meeting in October is the 7th. The
So that's
adoption-
our special meeting
Right.
budget. So the
The adoption,
21st,
yeah.
21st of October is adoption date. Okay. So we would have to, make whatever decision we're gonna make, really October 7th.
I would prefer that.
So we can be
Numbers.
prepared to adopt on the 21st. So
Yeah.
October 7th is really our kind of a,
And again, I'm working on, I don't know where the money's coming from. At the meeting today, Wendy McNamara, a representative that chairs that committee, mentioned $12 million. Of course, that $12 million has got to be split, but
Yeah,
it's going to be
92
divided between, no, it's not 92 counties. There's only, I think there's 88 that receive community corrections, but they divide that up proportionally based upon the need and what they see.
but there are 88 counties that are gonna get money.
Correct,
So-
correct. But when I took the allocation that we had at 2026 with the cuts and put what they allocated for this year, it was almost exactly $12 million. So my old man brain says, well, hey, there's $12 million there. They may restore us to the 2026 levels, in which case we could survive. But if not, then that's what we'd be faced with.
Yeah, 'cause right now looks like there, of course, no raises for the mandated salaries and so forth are included in this.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And
In fact,
then,
I saw there's a less amount requested in this fund area than there was in the prior year, so I'm not
Correct.
sure how that happened.
well, I've eliminated positions. Eliminated the executive director's position. I eliminated the case manager's position.
But on your line item, for example, it shows a less amount requested in 27 than what was actually shown in 26.
Yeah.
So it's a reduction there.
Yeah.
Part of that, okay.
So are you thinking table all of this till?
I can give you the breakdown.
Well, the personal services, we're not acting on that.
Yeah, we're not acting on that part. We can, that what's happening later. That wouldn't happen until later, the personal service part. But, it'd be good for us to have somebody, you can get us a breakdown, what, 400 and some thousand is what you're asking?
Yes.
I have $417,245.
And right now, it's part of the commissioner's budget that we haven't
Yes.
approved yet. It's in the line item.
Yes.
It's in there. Okay.
And then you can have different things that change, throughout the years, just throughout that, leading up to that too. You have people leave,
Yeah.
those
But
transitions.
you need
things that
people to
just-
be able to accomplish what the mission is as far as
Yes.
the people you have out of jail.
Yeah, and I do not want to add, matter of fact, we've been working to keep people out of jail. I don't want to,
Let's move more back.
Yeah.
Would you get us the breakdown on all that 400 and some thousand dollars, how
I'll give it
that?
to you right now.
Well, just maybe email it to us or get us a sheet tomorrow night or something. And what you can do, we can actually just look at it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it instead of trying to remember the number.
Let us know where it is in the commissioner's budget then.
It'd be in that personal services under FICA and.
Just right there? Okay.
All those line items, the benefits line.
All right.
You actually have it in your binders now.
Yeah, we did, yeah, it's in the commission.
It's in there, but-
Just in the.
No, it's elsewhere in the book, but that's okay.
Okay.
Have we
I can get.
passed through that section already?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, that I recall.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Because I usually go through each section, so if I missed it, I'm sure I missed.
Come on, Jim.
You got one by me, maybe, I don't know, I'd have to hear
Yeah.
this.
You did say you found that letter earlier.
I did, yeah, I had seen it, that letter, but I was thinking of a schedule that showed line.
There's a sheet in there that shows the FICA and the perf breakdown for the commissioner's budget.
It shows what
And it
this part
shows
is.
the insurance, where the funds that are gonna provide insurance.
And that's,
It's all there.
his breakdown, or his extra need is in there, and I haven't looked at that schedule yet, I haven't looked at it.
The other thing about like categories 2, 3, and 4, there's going to be some accounts for us, right, that would be a general fund request that wasn't in 2026, as I'm looking at it.
So there is money that I also allocated to in that section. You guys aren't getting it all. There's PI that I allocated for part of that too. If that makes sense, out of fees.
So again, there was what?
I thought I allocated money in those, Angie, also too.
Project income?
Yeah, project income.
Which fund?
I actually know you're right. It's not in there, Mike. I was looking at the wrong one. I was looking at 26.
Why don't we go ahead and go through these
Yes, why don't we?
different funds
So we're,
on the non-personnel items?
Yeah.
We can do-
So we can do Community Corrections Fund 9101, which has supplies, category 2-0, other services and charges, 62,428, which is really just drug testing. So do we want to approve those categories?
But there was $0 for some reason, looks like adopted in
Yeah,
2020.
let's ask what happened there.
Because if you turn the page,
Gotta go over.
in the even years, they have to use a different fund number. So this year it's 9201, odd years, it goes back to 9101. So you've got two funds for the same thing.
Okay, so we're even here.
So if you turn it over, you get to see the even years that are moving into the odd years. If we couldn't make it more
I
confusing
didn't
for you.
turn the page over. I did this today. I didn't turn the page over. God, I didn't look at the back. There's never on the back.
And this is something that the state makes us do every year. It's just
Yeah.
I
like-
wonder where the odd even numbers were.
Yeah, they make us wait, and it has to do with their accounting procedures, I guess, for the state.
I was wondering where it was. I couldn't find it. I didn't look at the back side of the page. Okay, all right. Tricking me.
All right. So the requested is 0.
Well, for 9101, which is the odd year, which is 2027 requested budget.
And actually, it's only about it's $1,000 more than last year's request.
Yes.
It was 61 last year in the back of the page.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
Which I did not see today when I was going through this. I wondered about that. I didn't find it. All right. Makes more sense. I would move for approval of category 2 and 3 as requested.
All right, thank you, Mr. McCourt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. We have a motion and a second to approve category 2 and 3 as presented on Fund 9101. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So 9201 with all zeros, really, we don't need any action because that would be for the even years.
That was last year.
Yeah.
Or this year, I guess.
Your next fund is the exact same way, even and odd.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah, same thing.
All right. And there's nothing except personnel on this.
Right. Nothing for contractual services, travel, or cell phones. Is that right?
It all comes out, it's all coming out of the home detention fund.
Okay.
But for this fund, nothing to look at there.
No.
Last year, we had a little bit of it last year, but you said you changed it to another fund. So,
Yes.
okay.
We had, in order to maximize the grant dollars that we had, we moved that to the home detention fund.
Okay. And the salaries there are all,
Do you want a motion?
those are all state mandated.
Correct,
that.
except the support staff ones.
Well, I mean, on this schedule, these are all PO, there's no support schedule stuff there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, those are all,
Right.
it's all PO salary schedule.
Right,
So we're on, home detention fund,
right.
yep, which is identical for 26
Right.
and 27.
We did eliminate part-time out of there for 2027.
Yeah, I saw that. Good chunk, there's just overtime.
And that, again, that was another, cost-saving measure. Any questions?
Now, and this fund is a fee-driven fund.
That's
This is not
correct.
grant, This is fees.
That is a fee-driven fund.
Right.
It is our version of probation user fees, yes.
I'll move for approval of categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Brinkle.
So no odd year, even year, 3/4, half.
No, this is the one fund they don't make us do that on because it's a user fee fund.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we're on re-entry court.
Yeah. So, this is our reentry court. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
One thing I had was just, the increases, what was driving those significant, I mean.
This is, again, is a fee fund.
Okay.
And the reason for those increases is cuts in state dollars for training. So our reentry court grant that we get from the state of Indiana, from Indiana Office of Court Services, normally we get anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000. We got $3,000 this year for 2027. We have money from this year, but it'll be the 2027 grant year. And the only money that we received on that was money that we could use for drug screens for $3,000. And normally I spend $3,000 in a quarter. So I had to also do the same for training and education. Normally they provide money for that. They also provide money in miscellaneous for incentives. So I had to pick those up in the fee fund.
So Barry, you're going to be spending more out of this fund than you have in the past, but you got cash balance to cover that in the future.
Yes,
Okay.
I do. We do have this is specifically from reentry court fees. So we have because we've got grants before that we haven't had to use as much of it, but this will be a year that we'll have to.
The 630 fund balance for that was $125,061.
Yeah.
25,000 plus. Okay.
Now, the home detention fund, the 630 balance for it was 1.6 million.
Correct.
Which fund?
Wow.
The 1122,
Oh, yeah.
the home detention.
I didn't write that in. Yeah. It's a lot, okay.
Well, it's a lot, but it's not a lot.
Because when I gotta do the grant, they won't give me money unless I can show that there's a balance in it.
All right, what was it again, Angie? How much? 630 in the home detention fund?
Home detention is $1,613,595.
That's not a lot of money. So it goes quick, right?
What's your budget here?
Still a lot of money.
It seems like a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, until I gotta start doing the budget. Yeah.
So you do have an excess though in this one. Do you know roughly how much the fees generate from the registry court?
Yeah, and about 260,000 a year.
Okay.
So you're seeing an accumulation, when Jim says 1.6, you're seeing an accumulation of about 20 years. Because every year we would make a little bit more. Over the last 10 years, Melissa pulled this number today when we were looking at different things, is that in the last 10 years, we've spent 90% toward project income, and we've only accumulated 10%. So we're spending it like a fire hose, and it's coming in like an eyedropper. So that's what we're up against. So I would generate roughly $50,000 or $60,000 a year overall total in project income. But because of salaries, raises, equipment, everything else, because we pay everything else out of our budget.
Yeah.
Furniture, I mean, anything that we need all comes out of that.
Project, that's not this home detention fund, that's something.
No, you're correct. Yeah. That's a separate fund that we pull from. And that's one set up by the state for problem-solving courts.
Okay, so the chair would entertain a motion regarding re-entry court categories 3 and, well, actually 2, 3, and 4.
So, yeah, the entire fund.
Yeah, so that would be the entire fund.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scott.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I do like you made a comment that made me think, at least you were saying this, just because you haven't made it, I mean, you spent it, you were accumulating some money over time, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Next, we have a new fund for this year, the pretrial home detention.
And this is the one fund that is not a grant fund, but one that you allocated for pretrial.
Yes.
It's part of the general fund.
Correct. Part of the general fund, and it covers a pretrial probation officer and a support person for that. I think Melissa sent, Mr. President, I think she sent you an email about the progress of pretrial home detention. Melissa did, I think, sent you an email about the number served and where we're at.
Yes.
What's going on with that. So I think we're currently at 19. Melissa's here. If you have any other, if they're really easy questions, I could try and answer them. If they're hard questions, I reserve those for her, because it has taken a entire court services village to make sure this has done well. We're at 19 people right now. We've saved about 540 bed days. Those would be bed days in the jail if these people, so taking the number of days they've been on the program and counting those up with the 19 people that we have and how long we've had them. We've had 1 complete, 2 that we've had violate. But Melissa has worked very hard on getting everybody on the same page to do this, but we have, it's not just one person and that staff person, I guess is what I'm saying, it's a whole village.
You said 540 days.
Uh-huh.
If it's $40 a day, that's 21,600.
Yeah. And then, but it's $42 a day now, Jeff.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, 22,000. We'll go 22,000.
Yeah.
And you go
But
up to
that has
30,
been,
right? You go up to 30.
Go up to 30, but that's also been just for 85 days.
Right.
That we've had to, because we had to hire the people, train them. So, I don't know, Melissa, is there anything else you want to share on that form you think would be important for them to know?
I'm happy to answer any questions. I think we're at we might be at 21 now.
You might want to come up here so that gets recorded.
What's that pencil to, Jim?
Because what I did, I just took the number of, if we did 19 times, I did $40 a day, so maybe I'm low, times 365 would be 277,000. If we were at the max of 30 times $40 a day times 365, it's $438,000. So even if we stay at 19, we're still
okay.
we're still ahead, but that's not as much as we want, because I guess when I was looking at it, of course I'm optimistic, and I'm going to say 25 to 30. So that it would be significant savings. But at the end of the day, I feel like it does two things. A, it's saving us money, but it's also helping people too, so that they're not sitting in the jail, they're at home and they can be doing things that'll help themselves.
Majority of these people are in sober living environments, or they have been transported to treatment facilities to receive treatment. So they're not in the jail, and they're getting the treatment that they need.
So that, and that's the real positive too. You've heard this 10,000 times, win-win. So I really kind of look at it as we're winning, saving money, and they're winning, maybe trying to help get their life together.
I told Melissa it's a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. It saves us bed days that we need, but at the same time gets people out where they need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge to get them in there? Criteria?
So we've already screened 160 plus people, and so it's finding a couple of things. So what we're realizing is we do have the right people in jail. It's not just these low level. A lot of ours are high risk and have multiple cases, or a new case and a probation violation, and so. Some of it is the criteria. So we've already had conversations with the judiciary about expanding our criteria to make sure that we don't want to go too far out and have the wrong people out of jail. But we also want to make sure that we're casting our net wide enough to catch people. And so some of that is just kind of working through a new program and trying to decide what is our target population, and then some of that is you're talking about standing up a new program in a very short amount of time, and that's almost impossible, in terms of you have to create the program, train the people, get the people, and then get it going. So our team has worked really hard to get it this far, this fast. I mean, to think about going from nothing to I think we're at 21 now, and we've got 3 to 5 more in the pipeline. So for us to be at 85% pretty soon is pretty spectacular in terms of expectations for our team. Because I don't think I think we hired in the end of May.
Yeah.
So here we are a couple months in. And then just getting used to the system of how do we identify, how do we get people connected. So another issue is housing. So obviously with home detention, you have to have a residence. Like Chris said, a lot of people needed assistance getting housing. And so that's another hoop you have to jump through. You can't just bring them out and say, best of luck. We have to have a place for them to go. So we've had to negotiate and kind of work through establishing housing. So that was kind of a unintended.
So they didn't have a house to begin with? I mean,
A lot of them.
Really?
Or if they had a house, it's a drug house.
Or it's no longer like they're in their possession. They've sat in the jail too long.
Gotcha.
Okay. So is a majority of these in a sober living type environment right now then?
So we have a lot of people that require, housing assistance, and
Majority are in sober living environments, and then I would say probably 15% of them, probably 3 or 4 are in treatment. They're out of treatment.
How do they pay for that?
Pay for what?
What does the sober living house charge or whatever? How does that work?
Yeah, so they vary. They can, a lot of them, some of them are charging like $150 a week. So
and who pays that?
They do. So they are responsible. We are not responsible.
They find it. They find them jobs. They help find them.
So they're actually working while they're in the sober house.
So a lot of our employment rate getting them out and getting them employed really quickly is very high in this program. So they're motivated to get jobs. I would say, so we explain the program as it's not just getting you out of jail, it's getting you access to care. So we look at specific referrals that they need from the beginning and start making those. And the average number of referrals the last time I looked was 5 per person. So these are high need people that need a lot of care in the community. And so we're making those connections really early for them to be able to choose to do it or not.
What percentage of them would you say are in Grant County? In their sober living environment?
Oh.
95%.
Yeah,
If they're not, they're in a treatment facility that we've had to.
So we have enough housing so far to hold them.
We use the rescue mission too. So do we have enough housing? Not if we go 60. Yeah.
There isn't enough housing.
That's
One of the
what I
sober
figured.
living homes just closed.
Yeah.
So
What'd you say?
one of the sober living
Okay.
homes just closed.
Well, in the community here?
Yeah. So, no, there won't be enough housing. We filled one up pretty quickly,
I would assume you would.
so,
Yeah.
but
The rescue mission works well with us, but once that's the problem I think foreseen in the future is if they have a substance abuse issue and they can't get sober living, then they relapse and we're back into looking again of trying to be able to help them.
So one of the other things we're starting to look at too is identifying for, so it could be a point. We haven't fully moved forward with this. This is a concept we're thinking about is how do you identify, routes in the justice system. So you could use this because we're screening and doing assessments to say, maybe this one would fit in this particular program. Maybe they would be a good fit for mental health court, reentry court, drug court. And so it's helping, again, get access and align to care and services. But I mean, that's more of an advanced feature that we're thinking about once we get.
Would your PSI help with that though?
Well, PSI happens after the plea agreement. This is looking at how do we help them if this person would be better suited for a program, making those referrals earlier.
What it does do though, Mike, is that it seems to have been what we've seen so far accelerate the process. So people are in where they need to be, and so now they're at a resolution of the case, either like a plea agreement or something like that moves the case along more quickly. We've had a few that we've had in, and once they've established themselves in treatment or where they need to be, there's an agreement quickly for them to be able to.
So that may help for those ones that's sitting in jail for hundreds of days, however long.
Yes.
We get them removed from sitting in jail for so long into a program.
So it's not so much sometimes who we're getting out, but it's also resolving those cases, sort of like with referee court. It resolves those cases more quickly. So, you're also seeing a benefit from, clogged calendars at the court too, because they need a treatment issue. Maybe the prosecutor doesn't want to agree because of the issues they've had for them before, safety-wise or whatever it may be. They come out with us. And now, not only the client, but the public defender now, they're in line with what's going to happen with them. So those are some of the benefits we've seen.
Probably can't answer this yet, but what would you say would be the average length of stay for someone in this program?
So we haven't had our first 90-day hearing yet. So the goal is to bring them out and get them access to services. At the time that they're placed on or ordered into pretrial home detention, the courts will set a 90-day review hearing, and the hope is that the case will be resolved at that hearing. So
90 days would be the goal.
That's the hope.
We've had
some that have resolved before.
Yeah.
Before that, and then we've had some that we approved or we said that they were eligible for the program, and then before the court hearing, for that hearing, they took a plea agreement, and so no longer needed the services. So it's just different things that are moving cases through as well. So but we haven't had our first 90-day review hearing yet, so we're hoping that that's the case.
What's in your contractual services? What all does that entail?
So you're talking about the electronic monitoring equipment under contractual services.
So is that a fixed cost or variable? Is that per person, or are we spending 40 a year regardless?
So it's a fixed cost per person per day. So we pay for the unit that we have for that, and we use BI electronic monitoring. And then, that's a leased unit, and then we pay a daily monitoring rate for that unit too. So, there's an electronic station that they have. This is located out in Anderson, and they send us alerts then based upon that, track that GPS. We get reports, and that's what the young lady in the front office spends the bulk of her time doing, telling us if they've been there, if they've been approved to be able to go there, to make sure that they're where they need to be and not.
That's the GPS that supports that.
Yeah.
So theoretically, the 40 would cover us at capacity for the whole year. You wouldn't have to come back if you were at capacity for 365 days.
The 40.
$40,000.
Yes. It would more than cover it. It would more than cover it. Now,
And if we're at 50%, you would have budget remaining at the end of the year. It would not chew up.
Yes. And the other thing is too, is that, if you notice the budget we did for the salary is not, we didn't expend the maximum amount we had for the salary.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you that, those are not mandated salary.
Well, it is.
One of the one is, the top one is,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it is.
We reduced the amounts less in 27 than it was in 26.
Yes.
Change of personnel or?
No, the money amount that we advertised for was if we could get somebody with the years of experience for a probation, and they came in at a base level.
Okay,
So that's why.
Okay, that makes sense. I wonder why it was down, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
That monitoring's on a contract for 3 years, 5 years, 1 year. Is the cost gonna go up year after year, or?
I actually negotiated the cost down this last year. So, normally, they work with me really well. I have not had an increase in fees in probably the last 5 or 6 years. There's other monitoring groups that do this, so it's a very competitive market. I like the group that we're with though, because they're close. They're here in Anderson, so they're easy to, contact and, get a hold of. And so.
Good, I just wanted to make sure we weren't getting an intro rate, and then next year the council's gonna get $80,000.
No, I think if they did, they would feel the wrath if they did that, because it would affect their bottom line. So we're not one of their biggest contractors, but we as community corrections, we get together, and so like Hamilton County is a large contractor for them, so we're always talking about getting the costs down for that. And as the technology improves, it's actually cheaper for them. So.
And it's the same company that does our standard home detention program, so they're getting more business. So that's why it works in their favor as well.
So between those two programs, are we getting a reimbursement back from those participants on either one of the home detention programs?
So we've got a 96% collection rate on standard home detention. We do not charge them a fee on pretrial home detention. And I think that's probably wise of us, because they're already struggling. And now, once they complete, my hope is either one, they're either out and they go to probation, or they come to us on standard home detention. And usually once that happens, they're stable. And so then they can pay the fees. So, I tell you what, I was probably the most, Melissa won't tell you, but I was scared to death to start this program, because I was worried what would happen with them. Because I'm used to a straight executed sentence, somebody coming out on pretrial, and it's made a believer out of me so far, so.
Well, I appreciate the council approving the funds to do the program, and I appreciate all the groundwork, because there was a ton of groundwork, more than we will ever know, in order, like you said, to get this program from a crawl to a walk to a run. A lot of it, so we appreciate all of that work to do that. So thank you. The chair would entertain a motion regarding categories 2, 3, and 4 for the pretrial home detention.
So moved.
All right, that would be as presented. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lemming. Any questions or comments? Council, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks again for all your help.
Thank you, appreciate it. And we will recess our meeting until tomorrow evening. Thank you.